Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. We are the KC Soccer Journal. My name is Cody Bradley. Thad Bell, David Greenwald, Robert Russert are here. The original foursome.
Wow, the disrespect to Ali Trost.
Yeah, I know. It really is.
The disrespect. I'll tell you
what
what,
do I
the
call
second
it?
take was better than the first.
What do I...
The first team.
Okay, the first team lineup. Okay, you're right. That's better than the original foursome. Okay.
Which one of us is getting released at the end of this season?
That's in segment 2.
Yeah.
Thad's getting transferred to St. Louis.
Oh, piss off.
Yes, well
Tell you
done.
when Ali was here, though, it feels like ancient history, like, St. Louis's soccer history.
Oh, man, that does feel like a long time ago. David, thank you for teasing that there in segment 2. We are going to talk about what players may not be here, who we may have seen the last of at Children's Mercy Park. Last night at the stadium, I thought it was a really good crowd, Thad. Everyone decided to use their tickets one last time, but honestly, for a fan base that is so apoplectic, I'm amazed at how many people were there. Walking in, I was pleasantly surprised.
It was a pretty good crowd for last night. I mean, for the last night for a team that's out of the playoffs and everything's going pretty much horrible, which kind of continued, but there were still some empty seats. I mean, it was probably just you guys like hanging out in the club drinking instead of watching the game.
Oh, no, come on, David. There's no hope left in this season. Nothing has gone right. Everyone is angry. We want to fire everyone from the top to the bottom. But there was a lot of people there, no?
I'm not going to celebrate not selling out.
No, it's not that I'm celebrating. But, okay, here, how about this? I think Johnny Russell can surmise what this fan base has felt like, why they're so angry, not happy about the way things are going. I think he sums this all up very well for us.
Shitty season.
Johnny always is right to the point, isn't he?
Sometimes I wish he was more right to the point.
No, they're not giving me anything here, Robert, but for a fan base that is that unhappy, I was surprised by the number of people that were there. I thought so many people would be like, they don't deserve it. They need to see the empty stands if they want to see real change. I don't know. That sounds like Reddit, but were you surprised at the number of people there?
Well, I was surprised at the fact there was no Fire Vermes sign. There was no chanting about that. The people that were seated around me anyway were nice to the players. Maybe it was the last Johnny Russell possible match, last for some others. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was actually nice to see, Cody. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, honestly, I think you hit it there at the end. I think enough of those people thought maybe this was the last chance to see Johnny Russell, maybe Melia. There's a whole list of all of those guys that we're definitely going to talk about that later. But I do want to talk about the game. 3-0 loss against a far superior team, something that the players and coaches admitted after the game. XG was 0.6 to 4.2, but
4.2 seems low.
I know, yeah, I know. That's why I paused there for a second. That did seem quite low. But honestly, some of the stats were pretty even. 54% possession. Sporting KC had the lion's share of possession. Shots were 11 to 15, but on target was 4 to 4. And I think that it's telling. LAFC knew that they could give Sporting Kansas City the lion's share of possession and that it would end up being meaningless, Thad.
Oh, definitely. I mean, LA knew that they were the better team. They proved it a week and a half before that. And they just have more talent, more depth, more firepower, more, well, pretty much everything at this point. Confidence.
Yeah, the confidence for sure, but it took them extra time and a goal that shouldn't have been allowed to win that game over Sporting Kansas City the last time. I think it was, we're going to talk about the mentality that Peter Vermes mentioned, and there is something to that. I mean, a week ago, they were playing for a cup final. They were leaving every single thing they had left on the field, and this one was just for nothing. I don't know how they could have been chomping at the bit or fighting with the same intensity as they did in that Open Cup final.
Champing.
Champing? I said chomping.
Champing at the bit. Yeah.
Champing.
Why do we champ at the bit?
Why do we champ at the bit?
That's just the word.
David, look that up for me. Look up the origin.
I've looked it up before. Horses champ. They don't chomp on the bit. They champ. That's just what the word is.
I'm gonna need you to confirm that, please. While we're
very impressive, David.
I can confirm it right now. This is a frequent debate at my job.
Okay. Well then, thank you.
And don't bully David, Cody. I mean, he's already got his little sign up there.
Wyatt, David's thing
This
here
is an audio medium, so people won't know.
Right.
Well, Cody's about to say.
But when we record via StreamYard, you can put like a name. So, for instance, there's Cody. Robert says, by Josh, ... in reference to Josh Wolf being fired. Thaddeus P. Bell was hugged by Ilya and Kai.
Aww.
And mine says that I was getting bullied, which is what was happening before we started recording.
Okay, you entered the chat with eye masks on. He had little...
It's important to look nice for the week.
He had little
covers. I called it. I saw it and I called it. It was there. Bullying.
It's important to look nice for the week. I wanted to be rejuvenated and fresh.
And all of that's fair. But I don't think you were being bullied. I don't think anyone bullied you. We were all quite fascinated with it and happy about it, and all agreed that face masks and eye masks are kind of pleasant, actually.
You guys actually bonded over it. So.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting into
Robert
that discussion.
And especially Robert were mean to me.
How was I mean to you?
Which is frankly what LA did to Kansas City last night. They were mean to us. They could have just chilled. Could have been like easy.
No, they
beat that ass. They kicked the shit out of us.
They had 120 minutes like a week ago to figure out exactly what they needed to do. And then they did it. They were champing at the bit to do it all that they didn't do properly in the Open Cup final.
Yeah, actually, I think Peter had said something in the week leading up to that game that every time they touch the ball, they're hungry for the goal. And you could see that, like, they went at goal. Like, every time they got the ball.
Yeah.
I was like, when Kai got in, I was watching the runs he was making. I was watching when Giroud was in. I was watching the runs he was making. It wasn't, we're going to pass the ball around. It wasn't, we're going to go side to side. It wasn't, we're going to wait for the right moment. It was like, fuck it, we're going to go score.
Yeah, I think it was like the 85th minute, and Bogusz just took off with the ball, hit space quickly, and I turned to my neighbor and said, hey, that's the difference right there.
Where I really noticed it was after the first goal, after the PK save from Melia and easy follow-up. We took the ball. We kicked that ball off and just passed it back, and we're still recovering from the punch that had just been thrown, and LAFC was just on it instantly. We passed the ball back casually. I don't even remember who took the ball in the midfield there, but instantly, right when he got it, he had 2 or 3 guys on him, lost the ball, and then they almost went off and scored again right from that start. And yeah, they are a better team. Peter Vermes admitted that after the game, reluctantly, but he's like, if they are, you got to admit it when it is that true. And 3-0 was painfully obvious. And it wasn't just him. The players admitted it. Johnny Russell said as much, and Tim Melia could not have agreed faster.
They're just a better team than us at this point.
Facts. 100% facts.
Yeah, I mean it is. There's really not much you can say about that. But the headline, I think, from the post-game audio was Vermes saying the mentality has to change within the group. But Thad, this is what I don't understand. We're acknowledging that the team they just played is way better. That's the team that beat them for a trophy. That's why they didn't win a trophy this year. They're not on the same level as this team that they just lost to. That's why they're not in the playoffs. That's why their season is already over. But Thad, Vermes says the mentality has to change. The player's mentality is the issue.
Yeah, and I think one thing that people need to think about when they listen to Vermes at a press conference is he's sending different messages sometimes. So I think at one point he's saying that team is better, they have better players, more talent, etc. I think that's the message to ownership and their own staff, that we need to get a better team.
Mm-hmm.
And the mentality
who's in charge of that staff, like scouting and picking the players? Who would that be?
Well, but see, okay, valid point there, David, but that's what I keep coming back. It's not him anymore. Like, yes, it was him that is the fault of the current problem, but they've already remedied that. He's not doing that anymore.
And we've also talked about how there was a lot of the money issues about what money they could spend in planning, which caused them to do some of the wrong moves. So, I mean, we can dive back into that again, but that's not really where I was going. I'm just saying that he sends messages in different ways. And I think the mentality part was more directed at the team for the future. You need to have the better mentality, and when you come back next year, get your shit straight.
Well, Robert, here's my problem with this is, all right, so say the boys came out of the gates here champing at the bit. They had all the confidence that you could possibly ask for. They were in they had the intensity that Vermes says that they were missing. What does that get them out of this? Again, they're still playing a better team. So, okay, they had the right mentality. So do they come out and lose 2-3? That's what we're hoping for. That's kind of my problem with this is, the roster wasn't good enough. They maybe weren't up for this game as could be expected. But, like, how much could the players' mentality have changed this or changed the season?
Well, the thing is the mentality has to be a given, right? Why is it even a question at this point? And no matter where you are in the standings, you're at home. As he said further, you've got to drive the game at home. That should be a given. You don't know what's going to happen when you have that mentality, the attitude, that physicality, if you will. So if it's not there, then huge, huge difference.
I just disagree. I mean, I'll take that at his word that, we're trying to send a specific message to specific people. But the idea that when one team is so vastly outmatched in terms of skill and talent, that mentality is the difference is kind of ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this team, our team, is not even remotely competitive with LAFC. In a one match like cup final, sure, we could get 90 minutes out of it, but Bogusz is a 23-year-old Polish international who was bought for $1 million. Our most expensive player has a fraction of the productivity for 5 times the price. 3 times the price, something like that. It's not just a mentality thing. It's a talent thing. It's a roster construction thing. So my hope is that Thad's right when he's saying this is just trying to send messages to certain people. But at the end of the day, no matter how hard you want to, the 4 of us could go out there and really want it real bad and we'd still get our asses kicked. It's not necessarily just a mentality thing.
But it starts there, David. I agree with everything you're saying, but we know Peter Vermes, and what Peter Vermes is about the mentality and the work rate and the desire to win and things like that. So it's got to start there. His fault that, the rest isn't there probably.
David, you mentioned one player. The one that stands out for me was Oliveira, who they brought off the bench in that Open Cup game. It was like an $8 million transfer fee that they bring off the bench that would be one of the best players in our club history. And
I think it's the face tattoo.
The face tattoo, yes, that adds to the intimidation factor. But then he's also playing there with Denny Bouanga, who's better than any striker that we've ever had. In goal, they have a legend. They've got Olivier Giroud, a French legend. It's just over and over, everywhere on that field. Aaron Long, on defense. He's a better center back than we've had in years.
We tried to get him, Cody, but he didn't want to come here.
Weird. Wonder why.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Vermes would have got along well.
But it's not just LAFC, right? It seems like they're happy to concede, like, oh, yeah, we're not as good as the team that has Olivier Giroud and all of these guys. But it's not just them, right? You could do this with several teams. And I think it even goes beyond Columbus and Miami, too. Miami's another cheap one that you can say, yeah, we're not as good as them. But I don't know. You go a lot of the teams at the top of the table, in my opinion, you could compare the rosters, and it's just not even close.
Now, Cody, you're going to make me want to go off here and say some things that people aren't going to like.
Yes.
And I can if you want.
Let's
For example, we tend to praise these guys. I'm not going to mention anybody, maybe somebody who goes and plays midfield for a while. We all are like, oh, he's a revelation. He's an average MLS player. Okay, great. You didn't know he could play midfield. Congratulations. Okay, he's an average MLS player. Yeah, great. You got to call in the Canadian national team. Thank you, Jesse Marsh, for showing guys who make progress in MLS. You'll give him a little joy. Okay, great. But he's an average player. We get so excited about these guys who, Steven Afrifa. Oh, he's great. He was terrible last night. Vargas beginning of the season. Oh, he's a top 10 player. He's gonna be. No, not yet. Might be. I don't know, but it's just the way it is around here these days. And I think we're a little tired of it.
I thought you were going at Jake there when that started, but that was Zorn the song that you were going after, huh?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jake has shown as he moved into his midfield, his more natural position, that he's a baller.
The song showed pretty well too, but yeah, I'm not going to say you could look at this team and say every one of those players is an average MLS player or slightly below average or whatever. But the problem is when you have teams that have 6 or 7 above average players and you're trying to compete with them. So there's very few players in this team that I like, oh, you couldn't have a team that would be successful with them on it. I mean, there's some guys that we'll talk about later that should probably not be back, but most of these players could be on a successful MLS team, but you may not be wanting to start them. You may not be wanting to have them on for a lot of minutes. We just need some better players.
A lot of better players.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be flippant and disrespectful about it, but at the same time,
well, yeah, hold on. It looks
this
like you
roster
are being flippant.
is really bad.
It looks
but
like
this
you are being flippant
really
because
bad.
you're not even looking. Are you texting right now? Have you been texting this whole show?
No, I'm depressed. I'm deeply and upsettingly depressed. And
all
I'm
of this looks
current
very flippant.
stats.
Okay.
And I'm looking at Casey current stats because they make me happier.
You're half paying attention here. We started late at 9 p.m. so this guy could join the show, and he's just sitting here looking at his phone. He's like, "Oh, join in. Oh yeah, I don't mean to be."
David,
flippant.
you're being bullied right now.
I am because I'm also contributing.
Should put a mask back on.
Jesus, but the solution is, there needs to be a full clear out on the team. The team needs a lot of new things. And, one of the things that Vermes has mentioned before about the difficulty in making a roster build is getting guys to want to come to Kansas City. And I understand that. Hugo Lloris was never going to come to Kansas City. Olivier Giroud was not going to come to Kansas City.
We don't.
But there's ways to be competitive that, we're just not anywhere close.
And for a long time, Sporting was manipulating everything to be competitive with less money and competing in Kansas City versus LA and New York and all that type of stuff. But it got stale, and some of the other roster things have passed by, and the amount of money that owners throw in extra isn't there. All those factors come into it, that they were trying to manipulate all those little mechanisms to try to maximize their money, and it has come to a head this last 2 years, if you want, at least, that it has failed because you maximize this out. It's like maximizing out all your credit cards, trying to get deals on something else, and then all that comes due. And now you don't have the money to do some of that stuff that you would have even before. So yeah, it's gonna take a little while to clear out all that cap shit.
What an analogy, Thad. Well done.
Facts. 100% facts.
Can you just play the "We sucked"? Where's Velko when you need him?
It was terrible to watch.
Robert, say
Can we talk about something more fun?
Robert, say Jake's a baller again.
Jake's a baller.
Facts. 100% facts.
Yes,
Yeah,
David. Go ahead, Dad.
I was just going to say, you were going to get some people fighting you if you were saying Jake was the problem there.
I got really
I wasn't
excited.
saying Basong was the problem. I was just making a point using him as an example.
Oh, man.
Robert's
poor
also
Zoe.
like notably anti-Canadian.
Really?
Well, he's a
Yeah,
real American.
Yeah,
Screw Canada.
America.
Communist. Great Pink
yeah.
North.
He really, really dislikes Tim Hortons, and he dislikes
And Jesse Marsh.
Justin Trudeau. And I mean,
Hey,
if
I have
you are
stepped
from-
foot in Canada. Anybody else on this show?
Yes, I've been in Canada.
I haven't actually.
I think Robert's
Legally
unwilling
and
to even
illegally.
go to northern states. Like our Slack channel gets wild when Robert starts talking about places like North Dakota and Minnesota. Like the further north you go,
100% facts.
yeah,
Is it Thad's turn to be bullied yet?
we'll get there.
David, I liked your idea of talking about something positive. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about something positive from that game. Yes, there was a positive from the 3-0 loss. Don't roll your eyes at me, listener, before we go to break. We'll be right back.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
All right. Yes, there was something positive, Thad Bell, about this loss. It was the debut of Joaquin Fernandez, and I thought he played quite well.
He looked all right to me. I mean, we've got to see a lot more of him, but what I've seen in practice and what I saw in the game last night, I thought he looked decent. He can compete in this league and be a decent center back. I got to see a lot more before I'm like, oh yeah, he's a great starting center back.
I don't know. There were a lot of good moments that I saw. It's hard to say a center back who was on a back line that gave up 3 goals, had a great game, but there were a lot of really good moments. He's big, he's tall, he has the body of Kyrie Shelton almost. He kind of moves like Kyrie a little bit.
Very much so. Very much, yeah.
I liked it. I liked what I saw from him. First appearance. I don't know how much you could possibly ask of him against a team like that, going against Olivier Giroud and those guys. But yeah, I think he did quite well. It looked like he was playing with confidence.
Yeah, he looked daring, going in for strong headers, making some slide tackles. So it's a smart daring, not a have to desperate daring. So
I think somebody last night said that he didn't lose one aerial going up against those guys.
Yeah,
I don't know that's a fact, but Sperry said that in the post game.
David, what do you
I
think?
think there's a different positive. I took away a different positive from the game. Timothy Melia saved another PK. What a beast!
He did. He still gets credit for that. That's what I left that situation. I was like, he still gets credit. I wasn't even mad that they scored. I was just like, Timmy still got credit for it.
What a beast!
So there's got to be, and maybe there's not, but every PK shooter goes against him. It's just got to be thinking about that, and I think that's a factor.
Did I send you the audio from him answering the question about how he made that save on the PK, Cody? I don't think I did.
No, you did not.
Very short version of it was he knew that that team was flying high, super confident, and that they might try something cheeky, especially early in the game when they could make up for missing a PK. So that's why he anticipated going down the middle more for that particular instant.
Yes, you actually did send me that. I didn't include it because some of those things I liked. You sent me multiple of Melia, and some of them were I think one of them was about maybe it was his last game, and then another one is like, how do you save all these PKs? And both of them he was like, I don't know, man. I get these questions a lot. Like, you guys ask me the same thing a lot. I know we've talked about this before, so I didn't really include those. But yeah, he did say he expected something cheeky, and maybe that's why he stood down the middle. David, I called on you a little bit ago because in our show prep beginning here, a couple of us were talking about, wow, Joaquin looked really good, thought he played a good game, and you disagreed with that. Love it. 3 of us are on one side, 1 of us is on another side, and then on the show, we go to the show, 3 of us give our opinion. Wow, we think he did really good. And then I go to you, I throw it to you, but you weren't paying attention, you were texting, you didn't know what we were talking about, so you defaulted with, oh, Melia saved a PK. I know what I saw it all happen. I saw it on your eyes. You're like, I don't know what they were just talking about. I don't know how to answer this question. Hell yeah, Melia saved a PK, though.
Okay. Well, I was paying attention. My hands are empty. I have not been texting. In fact, I'll show you my call log and text log. I have not texted anybody during this show. I wanted to talk about something positive, which was Tim Melia, because Tim's awesome, and he, did great. He got hung out to dry a lot. Where I think Joaquin, he was fine. Like, he was okay-ish. But, he was better than his other partner back there. Like, there's not a lot to praise.
Yeah.
He dove in for headers. You know who else gets headers? Rosero. He was also not great all season. There was nothing that...
I don't know, man. I feel like
there's nothing that sparked joy. Was he so bad that we shouldn't ever see him again? No. Was he like such a revelation at center back that I'm like champing at the bit to see him again? Also, no.
That still sounds wrong, no matter how many times you say it.
I know. At this point, it's a bit. Would
You're chomping at.
He's chomping.
Would I very gladly sell him back to Spain to get somebody who I knew could compete better? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Okay. I was not necessarily on the same side of Cody as he played great. I was trying to be, I think he did all right. I was very kind of in the middle there because I didn't form a really strong opinion based on him last night. However, yes, would I sell any one of those players back to Spain for somebody who I knew would be better? Of course I would. That doesn't mean this guy's not acceptable for playing in this league.
Yeah, made up scenario there from David was an easy answer.
Yeah, that's like a straw man argument there, man, or some fallacy thing for logic. Of course I would.
David said
I'd sell you for somebody better.
David said nothing got...
I could go sign somebody.
You said nothing got you excited. There were definitely a couple plays, a couple moments where he stepped up and made a tackle over on the sideline, showed his muscle against Olivier Giroud, stood strong. There were definitely a couple moments, and that's like all I'm kind of holding on to because obviously the whole performance, the night as a whole was not that great because they gave up 3 goals. But that's why I think that he did pretty good is because in this first appearance against a tough opponent like that, there were some very good moments, some good instinctual moments, athletic things that I saw that got me excited. Maybe he can be useful going forward.
To David's point,
nothing made me tingly.
If we rewind back to Rosero's audition, we probably made the same comments. So there you go.
Yeah, that's true. I was all about Rosero after that first game. I remember that.
We always love the new player. I mean, that's the, I don't say we all, but it's very easy to love the new player, go, oh, they showed good. Just think they're going to get a little bit better every game.
Yep.
And that doesn't necessarily happen. Sometimes they do get better. And sometimes the peak was that first 5 minutes on the field because they were energetic and tingly.
All you need is one little moment from their first game. And then it's, oh, they're still getting acclimated to the system. They're figuring out the league, the speed of the play. They'll just keep getting better.
It's the hope that kills you.
It is hope.
I'm not anti-Joaquin. I was just indifferent.
So, Cody, how is Joaquin on your name, meter? Is that a good soccer name?
Yeah, it is a good name. It is a good name. Joaquin Fernandez. I like that a lot.
Can you power rank your favorite Joaquins?
Not off the top of my head. Definitely not.
I'm not sure I can think of more than two.
I was like, I'm just trying to think of a second.
I've got one other
Joaquin.
that I know of. Maybe a second.
Joaquin Phoenix. I'll spot
Exactly.
you one.
That
That's what
was
I was
all I
thinking.
had was Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay,
That
I'm up
was
to 3.
literally it.
Thad, are you thinking of Joaquin Andujar, former
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals pitcher? Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
that was the other one. Walking in underwear, as they used to call him. Need to go back to soccer, I think.
So, speaking of good names, it is possible that we will lose some good names. It's possible that we saw the very last of, at Children's Mercy Park, some of these names. Here's a list of the guys that it might have been their very last time at Children's Mercy Park. Melia, Russell, Volater, Rodriguez, Ndenbe, Basong. What is? Don't laugh at me. I'm pushing through it. Don't laugh at me. I'm pushing through it. Ndenbe, Basong, Afrifa, Castellanos, Fontas, Tommy, Agata, and Voltaire. That is a lot of names. They aren't all going to be leaving us, but some of them will. Now, Thad, what were you laughing at? Go ahead and tell them what were you laughing at.
Well, in the show rundown, you had them all written down by last name except for Memo.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got there, you went with his last name. It struck me as funny. I would do the same thing, man.
You were watching it. You saw the wheels turning in my head. I had to do a curveball there. There was a little bump. I had to jump over, and I paused. I waited on Memo. Do I say Memo, or does that ruin this whole thing here?
Does anybody even know him as Rodriguez at this point?
I know, and that's why I can't.
I mean, it should be on his back. It should be on his jersey. It should be Memo.
I got Rodriguez very quickly, but then I was like, oh, no one calls him that. I should go with Memo. Nope, I'm going to go with the pattern here. Okay, so who do you think of this list, Thad, that we've seen the last of?
Fontas or Andreu.
Okay.
And I would not like this to be the case. I think Johnny.
Oh, we did see Johnny take a moment there at the end of the game, soaking it all in, looking around CMP. But I want to talk. But before we do that, I want to do more on Fontas there. It's escaping me at the moment. Is he out of contract or is he an option?
Out of contract.
He is out of contract. Yeah, he's probably gone.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say he said he was last night, but he was going around saying goodbye to some people. Mainly, like, hey, it just felt very, I won't talk to you guys again type of moment.
So at least one player in that locker room knew their fate, you think, or the writing was on the wall for some of them?
I think that while none of them is going to admit it at this point, because that's just the way the game is played, I think some of them have expectations of what their fate might be. And considering Fontas has played very little in a while, and he's a great guy, but he's just lost the speed that he never had speed, but he's just not there anymore. So I would love for him to retire and go run Casa de Padel or whatever that is.
Yeah, I see he has an investment here. Do you think that family, that beautiful family of his, do you think they're planted here in KC? I hope all of these guys fell in love with the city and they all end up staying here. I want that for all the players.
All of them?
Yes.
All of them.
Yeah. I don't
Really?
hate any of these guys on this roster. I don't hate any of
You
them
want
as humans.
William Agata to stay. You, the biggest Agata hater on the planet.
No, not as a human. Keep that smile in Kansas City. Shine.
By the way, he
shine that smile.
stopped by the
around.
SKC2 game today to just say hi to fans.
You did? Okay. See, look at that.
Nice.
Good guy. Good locker room guy. What a smile that guy has. How dare you? I've never once said anything about them as people. I like all of them as people. But my God, how many sitters can you miss, buddy? Let's listen from... We've got some audio here from Johnny, more so than his very succinct summation of the season, which I will play again.
Shut your season?
Yes, it was. We were talking about all these guys. Thad thinks maybe we have seen the last of Johnny, and he did comment on that after the game.
I'm sure there'll be change here in the off season. Obviously, we need more players. That's a definite. I'd imagine there'll be, like I said, there'll be a few changes. There'll be a lot of new faces here next year. I said to you the other day, hopefully I'm one of them.
Hopefully I'm one of them. He wants to still be here. But that, you could really just hear it, like he was defeated. That voice was just simply defeated.
Yeah, very much so. It breaks my heart, man, because Johnny's a great guy, and I would love for him to come back next year on a reduced salary and a reduced role and be a spark off the bench kind of guy, but that means you have to spend money on another winger who's going to be better than him on a regular basis.
Yeah, and we know Vermes will hold on to a guy that he thinks he can squeeze a bit more value off, from off the bench. But Thad, you also, again, thank you, Thad, for all of this audio that we had this episode. Love it when you do that. But this one here it's a longer one, but I'm not the only one that loves Johnny that much. I know everybody does, and there is one thing here that he was saying what he would say to the fans if this is his last time. And I kind of struggle on this because the season's not over yet. These questions are off-season questions, so we're just taking content from later on, and we're talking about this as though the season is done and all is said. But he's going to play another game. We get to watch Johnny play at least one more game here. He's not dead.
The season is done, and there's just one more game to play. And we may not get another chance to talk to him because this, if they go into the next game and they go away and contracts are cut after that, we might get a end of season presser with some of these guys, and they may not with some of these guys. There might be a limited amount of them. So that may have been the last chance we get to really ask him those questions, in fairness.
Okay, yeah, you're very right. That's true. So let's listen to this. I want everyone to hear Johnny and his sincerity and all of that. So a little bit long, but let's listen.
I don't really know where to begin, to be honest. Been amazing with me from day one. Always stuck by me, always been behind me, and there's no way I could put into words how much it's meant to me and my family. So, like I said, hopefully this isn't it, but if it is, and the time comes, then I'll definitely say something to those guys. Just wanted to soak it in. Very, very unknown at the moment, so just wanted to take it in.
Oh, okay. It wasn't as long as I thought. But no, yeah, that's sad to hear. For me, he's very clearly a club legend. Look at the top charts in almost every offensive category, and you will find him not far from the top. It is very sad to hear all of that. Robert, where do you stand with Johnny? Do you think we've seen the last of him?
Well, before we talk about that, it's just heartbreaking, really, to see that he was unable to win a trophy his whole time here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been the heart and soul of this club, and that's what he came here to do. He stated that repeatedly, and it never happened, So, yeah, very, very disheartening, very heartbreaking. And just watching him on the field last night, and it tugged at your heartstrings for sure. I'm totally with that. I'd love to see Johnny back on a reduced contract, a reduced role, but he's still the heart and soul of this team, and you're not going to find anybody that's going to have a stronger heart and really fight for this team.
The captain.
If he comes back on a reduced role, reduced contract, there will be somebody else that would probably be captain, just because it's somebody who's going to be on the field on a regular basis more often. And this is one of those kind of managerial things that I think if you study it, you may question if you should even bring Johnny back, because captain now having a reduced role is almost an embarrassing thing. And I feel like that was one reason they let Beasler go on his last year, was he was the face of the team. He was the captain, and all of a sudden he was not going to be starting, and they would have had somebody else be captain. And it's almost a demotion and an embarrassment to be on the same team you just captained. I think Johnny could take it. I just think that's always goes into that calculation, because some players will still look to Johnny to be the leader, even if they had, say Tommy's the captain or something next year or somebody like that.
Well, the other side of that is, and I wasn't going to mention this unless it came up, with Espinoza and Zuzi leaving last year, they lost pretty strong locker room leaders. I mean, Zuzi's a quiet leader, but he's still a locker room leader. And I think maybe they felt that a little bit this year too. I mean, Johnny's a good leader, and Tim's kind of the quiet one out of those two. But maybe you keep Russell just to maybe mentor that captain, maybe to be part of that leadership.
Yeah, Robert, I think you really hit on that. Think just this locker room as it stands right now, without Johnny Russell, who's that guy next year? Who's that guy? If Johnny Russell's not in there, who is he?
Jake Davis.
Oh my God, Jake's a kid.
Yeah,
it can't be. I know you're probably not wrong. Like I think Jake, if he's not, could be that guy eventually. But oh my God, if that's where they're at, like Remi, Remi's been here a couple years, but
if he stays,
fucking hell, yeah, Remi's maybe gone too.
Jake is almost old enough to rent a car. Thank you. And so I say the following. I would like to see Johnny back in a reduced role. There have been a bunch of teams in this league that have had guys who at one point were elite who play super sub. They're like 20 minutes off the bench and you're just like, great. This legend is on in the 70th minute and he's going to, nail a free kick to beat us. But on the idea of missing leadership and, losing Roger, losing Zusi, and what the locker room would be like if we lost Johnny, isn't there something to be said for needing a culture reset? This team has not won a trophy in quite some time. And at some point, I think you need to flip the locker room and the roster because it is time for a reset. There's been so much continuity over the years. I think with diminishing returns and diminishing quality, at some point, shouldn't we get new voices in the locker room?
So you're assuming Vermes is not going anywhere, I guess, right?
I don't expect him to not have a job.
That's not an assumption anymore. They've told us he's here for the rebuild. Yeah. He's got this rebuild. No point in yelling in the abyss about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
David, you brought up the mentality, and Vermes had the quote, "The mentality has to change within the group." I want to talk about that. But first, I want to wrap that up on Johnny Russell. I saw the question. I saw it brought up that everyone on the wall right now, Sporting KC Legends wall, has won a trophy. Does Johnny Russell break that trend, and through his sheer tenacity and compilation of stats, does he get on the wall, Robert?
I think it's not just that. It's, again, just he played his heart out for this team. He always has.
In our darkest days.
Yeah. I mean, he's Johnny fucking Russell.
He's Johnny fucking Russell! There's no one on this show that's going to disagree with this, right? That thinks like maybe you have to win a trophy to get on that wall just because it's a trend so far. David, you're shaking your head. You going to be our contrarian here?
I'm trying to decide if I should take Thad's position as a contrarian.
You got to decide because I'm ready to jump in at any moment.
Please,
man.
One of you just
no, Thad. I'm gonna defer to you. You do it because
Okay.
my heart's not in that one.
All right. How about this? Okay, let's do this. You had last night on that field, Kai, Kamara, Ilie Sanchez, Johnny Russell. Of those three, Johnny Russell's the choice. If any of those three is going to go on the wall, right? It's got to be. Ilie won a championship, but Johnny's Johnny.
Ilie doesn't need the Legends wall. He's got his stained glass coming, remember?
Exactly.
Yeah, again, we really need to dig into this in the offseason, that we have multiple layers of rewarding and recognizing players, coaches.
But it's ambiguous. It's ambiguous whether the stained glass is above or below the wall. We don't know that. That's left open to interpretation.
No,
I would say the stained glass is above.
I think a statue is above, and then the wall, and then stained glass.
Okay, yeah.
Because
who gets the first statue?
Oh Lord!
I thought we decided it was Zusi, Beasler, and Espinoza all together. I thought that was That was the first statue.
I think the three of them walking out, there should be like that trio, like a stand named
That'd
after
be
them
awesome.
somehow.
That'd be awesome.
We kept mentioning Roger Espinoza there. I cannot go any longer without mentioning that man came back, bled for this team, and signed for $86,000 in his last year. That's how you come back. That's how you get your name on that wall. No one has ever done it for this team the way Roger Espinoza did it. That is my guy. It's not making fun of him for coming back. It's not shameful. I know Thad was like, it's maybe kind of embarrassing. You come back, you were a captain. I think Roger had played as captain a couple of times, but he came back to do it for this team in our time of need, and he signed for chump change because he loves this team. He bleeds for us, and that is one of my favorite players all time to wear the shirt.
And he wanted to come back and defeat St. Louis.
Yes. Had to get that one in. Yes. Stamp his name in the books for that. Okay.
All right. So I would make the case that Johnny may not be wall eligible, but there's guys up there I don't think should be up on that wall already. I think one of them may have just got fired. But I just think that, I don't know, there's something that, to me, like, you have to be special for this team to be up on that wall. You're going to run out of spaces, like, if you don't start being really super restrictive of it, because we just named three guys who could all be up there: Beasler, Zusi, and Espinoza. And I don't think there's any doubt that all three of them should be up there at some point, right?
Tim Melia.
I've been saying this. And Tim Melia, too. You got to put him up there. I've been saying this for a long time. I took some heat on this show. You guys told this to Jimmy Nielsen that I was saying these things. But yes, they're running. I don't know how big this wall is going to be eventually, but the quality of the league is growing. The quality of the team should, in theory, get better every year. And there are some names on that list. You just threw your patented shade towards Josh Wolf, and Robert is doing that too as well here. And
it was a shade of blue.
Get rid of Bob Gansler.
But no, you're so right about that. Like, if you want to go on that trend, there are just some names in there that, like, yes, what they did for the club, they deserve to be up on there. Jimmy Conrad deserves to be up there for what he did for the club. But if you want to look at quality of the player on the field, eventually we're going to be looking at it like, what the hell,
man? You can't do that, though. You can't do that because players are going to consistently get better and better. And, can you compare, Babe Ruth to Hank Aaron to whoever's a great home run hitter today, right? I mean, you can't really compare that. They're amazing, differently athletes.
Aaron Judge.
I'm not paying any attention to baseball right now, so I honestly have no idea. But, a guy from today could go back and smack balls out of the park back then just because they're just different athletes. So you can't really make that comparison. You got to compare it to whatever the league was, whatever the team was. I just think that there's guys who have contributed greatly to this team and had winning seasons and won cups and trophies and shields and things like that. And that's the ones who need to go up there first.
He's going to be up on the wall.
If you had to take one person off the wall to make room for Johnny, who are you taking off?
Josh Wolf.
Josh Wolf is not the answer you can give. You have to give somebody else.
I have to look at the list. I mean, I don't even actually have them memorized.
I know. That's why I kept
Hold on.
invoking Jimmy Conrad there, because I couldn't actually remember all the other ones. I don't mean to do that. Jimmy Conrad deserves to be up there. Nobody labeled me as a hater of that.
Hold on. I can do this. 2013.
That?
Go ahead.
2013, Preki, Miola, Bob Gansler. 2014, Vermes, Conrad, Lamar Hunt. 15, Chris Klein. 16, Kerry Zavagin.
Yep, that set my dinger off too, was Chris Klein.
17, Mo Johnston. 19, Josh Wolf. 2021, Jimmy Nielsen.
All right, we got two. There's at least two there we can get rid of.
I think there's a bit of a debate about Mo
I'm reading
Johnston
this
as
off
well.
of the club's website, and I feel like they're missing.
Yeah.
I know they're missing at least one person.
Yeah, they are.
And who would that be?
Benny Feilhaber.
Right.
The greatest player in Sporting KC
You just
history.
haven't updated the website yet.
Second greatest. I demoted Benny when he said that Messi was better than.
That's cemented.
Hey, David. David, I knew you would love this, David. Guess what my girlfriend got me for my birthday?
Is it a Pele jersey?
Pie.
No, an Argentina jersey.
Nice.
Oh, gross.
Nice.
Why? You're not Argentinian.
All right, David, you had mentioned the mentality within the organization. Vermes says mentality within the group needs to change. It is from top to bottom. Yes, the entire organization needs a mentality change.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, please elaborate, David.
I don't think most guys get to that level on the pitch without having a strong mentality. I do think, you can see differences in people. To go to a different sport, when Jimmy Butler was playing for the Timberwolves, he hated Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns because they didn't have champion mentalities like he did. And you can see, like, there are some guys who are just built different, right? Guys like Michael Jordan don't come around very often.
Built different.
So in some regards, there are absolutely ways you can find players with that mentality. I think having a long season of getting beaten down is probably pretty demanding on the mentality, especially after last season getting beaten down most of the year and having this, epic comeback to sneak into the playoffs.
But David, it's not the players' mentality. It's not about it's not just finding players with a confident mentality and a tenacity. There's a problem from the way we're looking at players, the way we find players, where we find them, how we scout them, the way the organization interacts with fans these days. The Cauldron has issues. It's a mentality issue from top to bottom, David.
Yeah, I think the best word to describe the club as a whole, from everything you just described, from the front office to ownership to the Cauldron to the fans to the players, everything is stale. Everything is stale, and it needs a big shakeup.
And I think maybe, David, where you were going with that was the players feel that they, maybe just what Peter says day to day has gotten old to them as well. And they can see that the organization is not what it used to be, and that's affected their mentality too, perhaps.
Thad, you're muted or something. I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I apologize. I took a drink and I muted it when I did that so I wouldn't make noise, and then
Good, thank you. I appreciate that. We just got to remember to turn it back on.
Yeah. Most of the time I do. Anyway, yes, there is a staleness. There is all of this. There's so much needs to change. I always worry. I still think Vermes is a good coach. I know people might argue with me, and that's fine. Vermes is a good coach, but messages get stale, and that's why almost no great coaches finish out without being fired. Sometimes messages get stale, and you either have to wipe out all the players or wipe out the coaching staff and start over. It's usually easier to wipe out the coaching staff than it is all the players, but this might be a time when it is easy to turn over enough of the team to be different again.
But you rarely see teams that have a crazy amount of continuity, because messages do get stale. So often the really demanding managers, guys like Jurgen Klopp, like their message gets stale with certain players, and you get certain like there are certain guys who, no matter what, are fine hearing the same thing year after year, day after day. But you can clearly tell when it's no longer getting through, that, having a regimented training a certain way or having tactics a certain way or whatever has worn on somebody, and it's time for them to go and bring in new blood, because now you've got a player who hasn't heard the same things for 2, 3, 4 years. One of the things that is great about the organization we built is that players always want to seem to come back. But the downside is there's almost too much continuity. There's too much comfort, and you're not bringing in enough guys who are young and hungry and like trying to impress Peter because they don't know him. There's just not enough competition.
And you're kind of along the same lines of some things I've argued in the past about consistency. One of the great things about Vermes' team is the consistency. The players, they know each other, they know the formation, they know where they're going to be, et cetera. But one of the great weaknesses is everybody knows where they're going to be, and it's the same players, and it can be your downfall too. But when you're in a struggle and you I'm running down this wing, I know that player X is going to be in this spot. It's great. But so after a while, so does the other team. And if everybody's not clicking, then your system goes to shit. Consistency is their strength and their weakness.
So Thad, we have talked about the dynamic with Vermes remaining as chief soccer officer. He is CSO. We're talking about this mentality change that needs to happen. Do you expect that to come in this offseason? Yes. No, okay. He is no longer the technical director. There's something that could maybe change there. So he's answering to this technical director, but also in his other role, the technical director is answering to him. So do you actually believe that this required mentality change in the organization is actually going to come?
I do not know. Okay. I always try to like give benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, they're making a change. Let's see what happens. Mike Burns would not have been my first or probably my top 20 choices to fill that role. Although he would have been above the previous person they used to fill that role. So I don't know how that dynamic is going to work. I think it could work well. I mean, but I just don't have confidence in it yet. We're just gonna have. I mean, this is one of those. I hate this, but we're gonna have to see. But I don't want to like sit there and wait for 3 years and go, it's still failing. But because then you're going to have to just do this whole change all over again and then really start fresh.
Robert, are they going to have this mentality change in the offseason?
Well, Peter has always been a guy who wants players who are team first, who have that work rate, have that, all mentality, those characteristics that we've talked about and heard about for years. And I think, and this sounds a little, out of the ordinary or just totally opposite of that, it's really not, but he needs to loosen the reins a little bit and allow a player who has certain talents, perhaps, that others don't. He may not play as much defense. He may not work as hard on the field and, whatever, and be able to adjust to that and set his team up so that player skills can be accentuated as best as possible. I think that is a mentality change that needs to happen. And frankly, I don't have a whole lot of faith that it will.
Well, honestly, that's not a bad point. I think when he's in the technical director role, maybe that's a non-starter on even reaching out to this guy because Vermes didn't think he had the right mentality as the guy that was going to do all of that work. And now there's another technical director there. This guy identifies a player and brings it to Vermes, and it's like, all right, this guy's all ready to go. Maybe it's possible he won't kill himself in the defensive third like you would need the striker to do, but look, here he is. He's all ready to go. He's willing to come here. He scores goals, so let's do this. So I don't know. I think there is maybe some wiggle room there on at least that very specific kind of player that I think Vermes was looking for.
I think this is beating a dead horse, but I don't know that the issue is with Peter the coach so much as Peter the technical director. And so if Peter the coach wants players with a certain mentality, I think that's probably fine. It's Peter the technical director or chief soccer officer now. But it's the team providing him the players with enough talent that he can get something out of them.
Yeah, and he's shown consistently that he can get more out of a lesser lineup, I think.
Yeah, but is that the mentality of 2024 MLS?
I know, exactly. Does
that work anymore?
That's the larger mentality that needs to change. Maybe they are just accepting, hey, we're never going to be able to have the roster that LAFC and Miami have. And I don't know, maybe they are settling into that.
If you can get a good roster and still punch above your weight, yeah, you're probably not going to get the LA, Miami type rosters. I mean, it's just a lot of money and people who want to come to those locations versus here, all those factors coming into it. I mean, we're not going to see Messi strolling around down at the plaza type of thing. But if you can have a really good roster and you can punch above your weight, that can get you championships. That can get you trophies. You're always going to be the underdog in those cases. It still can work. You just have to do it. But you got to have something to start with.
The third best team in the league and the defending champions is Columbus. Now, I mean, look, say what you will about Kansas City, but like it's better than Columbus.
Damn
I would
straight.
so much rather live here than Ohio. And like, it's not even a good city in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's Columbus.
Is there a good city in Ohio?
What?
Is there a good city in Ohio?
What's the one that you have to drive through on your way out of Ohio?
Yeah, the only good thing to come out of Ohio is the interstate.
But,
Thad,
you know, there are plenty of teams that can be extremely competitive without being LA and Miami.
Exactly.
But you have to be clever with how you scout and recruit, and have to be willing to pay. And like, frankly, we probably will have to overpay for certain players. But once the DP threshold kicks in, what does it really matter other than, I mean, the owners probably don't want to pay the extra $1 million. But in terms of the roster build, whether you pay $7 million or $2 million, it doesn't really matter.
Thad, Messi would 100% love the Plaza.
Facts. 100% facts.
I did forget one of the sounds that Thad was so nice to provide for us. We were talking about Joaquin Fernandez. We just got so excited about his cool name that we forgot this great quote that he gave us after the game that would imply that he did have a good game. David, don't shake your head at me. Listen to this.
I like in defense. Obviously, I play with the ball, but I'm defense, my friend. And if you come to my box, I kill you. It's like that.
David, that's the man that you're saying you don't think played that well.
I kill you. It's like that.
He has the right mentality. It's all in mentality, man.
Hey, Cody, Willie Agata has some good quotes when he first arrived as well. So
William.
Yeah.
He was Willie when he first arrived.
That's true.
It's William now, my man.
I think Mr. Agata is going to come to your house and kill you.
I kill you. It's like that.
All right, let's talk about the Current.
Yes, thank God.
The Current had a 2-0 win, and that's secured, I believe, if I'm doing this correctly. Thad, correct me if I'm wrong. They secured a home playoff game, but another result of the weekend was that the Courage lost to Orlando.
Yep.
Which means
they're now just a point back from second and third.
Yes. So the Current are in fourth place, but they are just a point behind, level on the number of games, just 1 point behind Gotham and the Courage. So all they need is a tie from either of those teams, and they can slide into that second place spot, which would ensure them home field advantage all the way through the playoffs, because even if they get to the final and face Orlando, the final has been decided that it will be at home, at our neutral site home.
CPKC Stadium.
So, great weekend for the Current, Thad.
Yes. Temois scoring 2 minutes into the game.
2 minutes in the game. Before I could get it on, yeah.
18th goal, tied the record with Sam Kerr from a few years ago. Obviously, just an amazing player, and then a great set piece from Vanessa DiBernardo. Another really good performance. Proof you don't have to dominate possession in order to outshoot, outscore, and dominate a game.
And I was looking at the schedules, the remaining schedules for those three teams that we were talking about. Gotham now also has to play in their final 3 games. They also have to play Orlando.
Right.
So that could be drop points for them. If not a whole loss, then a draw is all that the Current need from them. I think it's going to happen. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I want to get that home field advantage all the way throughout. Not that I even think that they need it.
It would be nice, though. The Current, all the teams have 3 games left. The Current have only 1 home game left. They play next at Bay FC on Saturday, October 12th. They come back here to play against, I think, still coached by Landon Donovan San Diego Wave on October 19th, and then go to Chicago for November 3rd.
Has his hair recovered?
Right.
Well, that was the point of the problem, was that he had a procedure that was going to help it recover. We just caught him on a bad day.
Right. No. I'm not shaming him for balding or wanting to have a procedure to fix that. Absolutely zero shame there. It's just, it was quite the look for television. And, maybe a hat would have done him better.
I think he's wearing these little eye things for his baggy eyes too now. So,
and I question people's intelligence when they say, "I was told it wouldn't look bad on TV." Did you look in the mirror? That's all it took. Call in sick that day.
Thad, you were at SKC2 today, yes?
I was. Was looking, well.
Was their last game, right?
Last game, they did not make the playoffs. They needed to win this game, and they needed, I think, 4 other teams to do things for them, and 3 of them did, and 1 of them did not.
Oh.
And Sporting 2-1, they were down, losing to LAFC, and they came back and tied it up and won the game and outright. Ethan Bryant put on a great show, couple goals, and Benny got a yellow, which is really not unusual. He basically said, "Give me a yellow" to the ref.
Yeah, he was asking for it, apparently.
Yeah. Because they did a sub and the guy didn't get off fast enough, and MLS Next Pro has a rule: if you don't get off fast enough, you can't bring the next guy on.
Mm-hmm.
So they played man down for, I think it's supposed to be a minute, and it seemed to be over a minute before the ref allowed him on, but that could be because you just yelled at the ref a lot.
Got to do what you got to do sometimes. Not mad at Benny.
With that, is anybody from SKC2 looking to get called up next year? Like,
yeah,
who's
their
the
season
next?
is officially done. Who do you have your eyes on? Oh, he's already shaking.
Who's
his
the
head.
next Vargas?
Well, I think one guy who stands a really good chance is Seba Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's going to be a guy who's going to come up to MLS and go like, "Oh, I'm going to be a superstar and, first team type of thing." But he's a guy who, if you need minutes, he can run and run and run, and he's got bite. He's got some scoring ability. He's just a great role player kind of guy. So when I say he gets called up, I'm not like trying to predict he's going to go score 10 goals a season for MLS. But he could be a guy who'd be great on the bench and, give you lots of minutes. I think there's a couple of I would love to see Ethan Bryant get another chance up there. He's, for some reason, not played as much with the 2 team as I thought he should this year. But when he does, he seems to impress. So I don't know. And they're going to face this whole same thing with that the first team is doing now, because those guys are often on 1-year contracts or 2-year contracts or 1 and an option. You got the academy guys that's in that mix. A couple of guys who maybe could be homegrown signings. Ian James is like really young, but he's getting some minutes with the 2 team.
Sounds like you're really stretching for hope here. Nobody at SKC2 is that exciting to you, and they're going to make a big impact on the first team. That's what I'm surmising here.
I would say you're surmising correctly that nobody is going to come up and like make a big impact next year.
Great.
There's a couple guys who might make an impact the year after or year after that, I think.
Great. They need a mentality change there as well.
But also, when you talk about people who may not come back, as of now, Benny will be out of contract after this season.
Oh, shit. I didn't even realize that.
Interesting.
Coaches have contracts too, man.
Wow, and he failed to make the playoffs. Like, yeah, I got to send him away, right?
And he's had USL teams sniffing around him already in the past. So
okay. Well, if he's gonna take over from Peter Vermes, he's gonna have to go away and get true first team experience. That's not a feeder team for another team. So, I don't know.
I think there's room on the Sporting staff next year. If not, make up a position.
Or just give him another contract. Have him keep doing what he's doing.
Brazilian player liaison.
Thad, I saw the Comets schedule is officially out. We're getting closer to the Blue Turf season.
Well, I don't think the full schedule is out.
Oh.
The home
it's just
openers.
the home opener? Okay.
But they have Comets typically do what they call kick arounds a couple of times a week in portions of the off season. As it gets closer to the season starting, they move up to 3 days a week, 5 days a week, and then they have official camp at some point. They just had open tryouts over this weekend. I don't know if they found anybody that they particularly liked, but
how'd you play? I had somebody send me the link for that.
That's why Cody was busy.
I was like, yeah, I appreciate you sending me that, but not gonna happen.
Yeah, even those guys who are pretty much never going to make the Comets would be, they would score 5 goals in a media game. So I don't think you're in that quite category at this point, Cody. No offense.
Yeah, I make sure to pass the ball around in a media game, right? I don't want to embarrass anybody. No one likes to try hard in a media game.
Yeah, but Thad, they don't play with 30 people on the field either.
True. It's difficult. It's a challenge.
Sometimes. But I went and watched their kick around last week, and I'm going to probably go tomorrow or the next day since they're up to 5 days a week now and see if they got some new players in. And I can't say this name yet, but they did have a really interesting player there.
Okay. Like you can't say it because you can't pronounce it or because it's a secret?
Because I said I would not reveal who it was.
Okay.
Is it Preki?
I know one new player that they got.
Is it someone we're familiar with?
The player Cody, hasn't been announced yet, but yeah, I actually liked him.
I know, so I'm not allowed to say it yet, but yeah, I know some of the other players were excited to get him, so yeah, he's going to be useful.
He seemed really fast in the kick around the other day.
He's quick, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. Comets had a great season last year. Almost won the whole dang thing. Always love more soccer, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so it's kind of Sporting tailing off now with only one more game, and Current will have a...
And we lost that. Right at the end, we lost that. I don't know what happened to him.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, what was he gonna say? That I don't know. Oh, you're back. He's back. We missed the end of what you said, but I'm sure it was really thoughtful and brilliant.
Yeah, that's funny because from my side, you guys all hung up, so I thought you guys froze.
I thought the Sporting trailing off was very interesting.
Yeah, they trailed off. It's the only team in Kansas City that is not awesome at the moment. The Royals and Chiefs are killing it. The Current's killing it. Comets came off of a title run last season. Everybody's really good, except for Sporting.
Hey, how about your kickball team?
Kickball team's doing great.
No way.
Playoffs are this Thursday, baby.
Not a championship contender, though.
Yeah, we are.
Really? This Thursday? What time?
This Thursday, Penn Valley Park. Everybody come watch the playoffs.
Cody, you're going to get quarterfinals.
Bring your camera, Thad. Bring your camera.
Well, so it's the playoffs, so it'll start at 6:30. It'll be 6:30 to the championship will be at 9:30. Honestly, it's really good time. Everybody, seriously, come out and watch. Penn Valley Park is beautiful. Big park. Walk your dogs. Dog park is right there. Yeah, good old time. Honestly, there is a little bit of a crowd. People's families and friends and the rest of the league come out for that final. It's going to be good. And
So,
David, we are a contender.
No way. Can you guys bunt in your league, or is it a no bunting league?
Yes, you can bunt. It's the rules in this league are not ones I don't like. I liked the other league better, but this one is it's just a judgment call on if the ump thinks you bunted it or actually kicked it or not.
But you can bunt.
Yes, you have 6 of them.
Okay.
In this league. The other league, there's a line. So if the ball goes past that line, then it's not a bunt. So it's like it's the greatest kick in the world. You just barely tap it, it goes past that line, and it's not a bunt.
Yeah, you just slap kick down the third baseline because nobody can make the throw.
Yeah, everybody, go join your local kickball league. There's like 5 of them in Kansas City. Seriously, it's crazy. I don't know why we like kickball so much, but we do.
I can tell you're chomping at the bit to get to the playoffs.
Champing.
Chomping.
There are a couple other things on the list here that I'm sorry I hadn't actually seen that you added. Did Denny Bowanga was like in the stands mingling? Or am I misreading these notes here? Someone wrote that.
I added that, but yes,
okay.
yeah, Denny went into the stands pretty much right in front where Thad and I's seats are, and interacting with a bunch of LAFC fans, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. They traveled quite well. I love their chants. Honestly, they have really good chants. The 35. I don't even know what they're.
3252.
The 3252. Horrible name for that organization. It's just the seating capacity of the stand in which they sit in the stadium. I absolutely hate that. But they have really good chants. They do the long chant. We don't have the shallowness of the cauldron. The fact that it's not very tall or not very deep, it doesn't bode well for us doing the long chant. But LA did quite well. They did have a lot of people there for I mean, maybe not a lot, but more than I would expect someone in LA. Like, hey, let's go to watch this meaningless game in Kansas City.
While we're here, Cody, can we talk about the TIFO game for the Cauldron? It needs to be stepped up.
Everything for the Cauldron needs to be stepped up.
It needs to step up.
I don't like saying that because, again, I just want to remind, anytime you ever hear us complain about the Cauldron, it should be noted, the people that you were complaining about are the only people who are doing something.
Right.
So
right. Agreed.
I don't like just, making jokes about the Cauldron, because those are the people that went out there and painted a TIFO. If you don't like it, go paint one yourself. Make one better. But yeah, I think some changes need to happen all around there.
A lot of things could improve with the Cauldron, but again, like you said, go help.
Yeah, agreed.
Go volunteer. If you don't like them, go to the South Stand and volunteer there.
On that note of Denny Bawanga, I try so hard to not like him, but I do. He's so good. He's fun to watch. He's quicker than I would expect the look of him. It just seems like he's almost powerful and strong is what would be his strength, but man, he's so quick in tight spaces too. Just miles better than anyone we've ever had scoring goals for us.
Robert had put in there about Kai getting a louder response than Ilya.
Yeah.
Kai's family lives here, and his kids go to school here, and his classmates were over in that one corner.
Oh, were they?
So
nice.
His kids and their classmates was over in that corner before the game started. When all the opposing players, the subs are coming out, they come out of that one corner, and Kai came out, then ran across the field, ran to that corner. And I didn't know what he was doing, but then he came back and was jogging back towards the regular seats, and that's when he saw me. He gave me a hug, bragging on that. But I talked to him.
Look at me, Louie, there.
Yeah, but did he give you Chipotle?
He did in the past. But anyway, after the game, Kai ran over there to go be with his kids and all their classmates and stuff. And they're, trying to take selfies, and, there's a couple of security guards there. Well, his wife was trying to give him the phone to take the selfie with. So she stepped over the little wall there to give him the phone. Security jumped in there. You can't be out here, and yelling at her. And I understand security. I understand why they were doing it. Wow. But she's like, I'm his wife. And they're like, I don't care. Get out of there. So I kind of stepped in between the security guy and his wife and said, hey, I remember you, and started talking to her. So I kind of blocked the security guy. So she got him the phone, and he was able to give it back. And then she climbed back in the stands and stuff. But
Kai is one of those guys that I was talking about that came here and fell in love with Kansas City and made a home here. And yeah, his family is still here. Did you have any cute moments with Ilya, Thad?
I did. He again, I actually got hugs from both of them twice. After
nice. Score.
Ilya came out from that tunnel late, so he was jogging. Again, I didn't go to him. I just was standing there to get photos of the warm-ups and the team photo at the beginning. But he saw me, and he came over and gave me a hug and stuff and all that. But after the game, he saw me out in the tunnel by the photo workroom, and he comes up and goes, how's your daughter? She this tall now? And he's talking about my daughter because he knew her when he was here and stuff like that. So Ilya and Kai were both really gracious and very nice and good people, and
they are.
Kind of wish they were still around.
Yeah, me too. It really hurt seeing Kai score that nail in the coffin in the Open Cup game. The only thing that could have made that worse is Ilya scored a goal somehow. I was like, is Ilya going to score a bicycle kick on us now out of nowhere just to rub the dirt in the wound?
Honestly, that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. See, that's what sucks. That would have been cool. I would have cheered for that if that would have happened.
I was not happy with Kai scoring in the Open Cup because I was still holding out a little bit of hope that maybe they could tie it up.
I was too.
But last night when it was 3-0 and he was just going, and he was going towards the end where I was shooting at, I was like, if he scores now, I'm just going to get a celebration photo. I'll be happy with that. So that's
I was hoping Ilya would be the assist on his goal too. That'd be perfect.
David, we were talking about Messi for a second earlier. Miami won the Supporter Shield. Lionel Messi, the greatest player of all time. That's who we were talking about. I think you've probably heard.
Never heard of her.
I think you've probably heard his name.
Never heard of that one before in my life.
What do you think of Miami getting the Shield, though?
But they don't. They don't get the Supporter Shield.
Why don't they get the Shield?
because the supporter shield is done by the Independent Supporters Council. They have no supporter groups that actually belong to that, so they cannot give them the shield.
Well, they
Is that
have to
true?
shield the locker room because FC Dallas fans brought it to them.
Yeah, they do literally have the shield, though. I saw them. I saw them in possession of the shield.
Yes.
Yeah, but they can't keep it. They have again, unless this has changed in the last day or so, they had no supporter groups that belong to the Independent Supporters Council, if that's the right term, and so they could not keep the shield. They won
What
the
happens
shield.
to it?
We blow
Don't
it
know.
up. We burn it.
So they had groups that were applying to be part of the Independent Supporters Council or group or whatever it is, but they had, as of a couple days ago, they had nobody that had belonged to it.
It's the ISC. You were getting it right. Independent Supporters Council.
Cody, to answer your question, I'm relatively annoyed that Miami won the Shield and had such a good year, because do you recall that not that long ago they got in trouble for aggressively cheating?
I don't know about that, but
they had 5 DPs.
They
had
fined.
5. They
Yes.
had 5 DPs.
I would agree with his term there of aggressively cheating. They did.
Well, they weren't punished that aggressively.
No, they weren't, because the league
A couple
wants
$1
them
million.
to be successful. The league wants them to thrive, and it's annoying.
Facts. 100% facts.
They were fined a couple $1 million, and some of the people that were there were basically told you can't be part of a front office for a while. I don't remember who now.
All right, boys. Long show tonight.
We had a lot to talk about.
We did. It was pretty much all sad, except for Joaquin.
You guys want to get together on Thursday and watch Botswana play?
Where are they playing?
Cape Verde. We talked about
that's
this last
right.
week.
That's right. Sorry, I wasn't fully keeping track of the Botswana schedule. I apologize.
Add that to the bottom of the pod, like the pod post, that Botswana versus Cape Verde. Just see if anybody comments.
You are just like so not dedicated to the Zebras the way you ought to be.
Facts. 100% facts.
Don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.